This podcast is a member of the New York City Podcast Network at nycpodcastnetwork.com. Visit us to listen to over 250 amazing podcasts just like this one.
Japanese street style is some of the cutest and trendiest clothing in the world. Introducing Cherry Goddess Women's Clothing and Accessories, the hottest original and cute clothing company. We offer tops, clothes, accessories, shoes, dresses and skirts, and comfortable homeware that we guarantee you will love. Cherry Goddess Women's Clothing, super cute Japanese style clothing.
Hello, this is Jeffrey Frazier, host of Black Wall Street Chronicles. We're in for a doozy today, very controversial episode. Today we're going to talk about interracial relationships. Yeah, this is going to be a good one, guys. As a disclaimer before I get started, I would just like to say I don't have a problem with interracial relationships. I just want to make sure that members of our community are getting in relationships with people that have morality, whether it be somebody of our race or somebody who is not of our race. And it's really a big issue, causes a lot of controversy. You see all the guys on the internet debating about it. There was a debate about it on the Roland Martin and Dr. Umar Johnson. There's an independent radio personality and by the name of Tariq Nasheed that does all those documentaries. He's about to create a new documentary called Buckbreaking, and Buckbreaking is going to talk about the psychological the sexual psychological manipulation of the black man. So, being that it's going to get real dirty on the interracial talk, I thought I'll just chime in. So, let's start from all the way in the beginning. Now, the reason why there are black men and black women who have a problem with interracial relationships is because of the fact that we are victims of colonization. We can go all the way back. Now, the first European country that was able to effectively colonize an African country was Greece. Alexander the Great actually went into the country of Kemet. He took Kemet over and renamed it Egypt. And he was able to effectively not only conquer the country of Kemet, he was actually able to effectively colonize it. Why was he able to colonize it? Well, it was because of bedroom politics. You see, the country of Kemet royal bloodline is the only one that has the access to the great wealth of Kemet. We all know Egypt to this day. There's sarcophaguses in Egypt, and there's jewels and riches that the human being, that man is not able to even touch yet. All buried in the sand. Now, the only way you have access to these riches is you need to be part of the royal bloodline. So what Alexander the Great did is he utilized bedroom politics to make sure that his blood is mixed with the royal bloodline of Egypt. Now, because of the interracial relationships that was going on in Egypt at the time, Alexander the Great in the country of Greece was able to effectively colonize Egypt. Alright, so we have to talk about, so the way that the European colonized the African people was through bedroom politics, through interracial relationships. Another example of the bedroom politics is with the Roman Empire. You see, there was two great generals of Rome, the the two generals, General Mark Antony and General Julius Caesar. And they actually went into the country of Egypt and they met up with Queen Cleopatra. Now, everybody who's in the know about Queen Cleopatra, she basically seduced she seduced Julius Caesar, and she seduced Mark Antony. They had a love triangle that was known throughout history. And women respect Queen Cleopatra as a sex symbol of using female empowerment and female sexuality to have control over men. This is why Queen Cleopatra, they're always doing Queen Cleopatra movies, and they always have a white woman playing her, because the Queen Cleopatra is utilized as a idol of femininity and femininity and sexual empowerment. So here's what happened during the love triangle between Mark Antony, Julius Caesar, and Queen Cleopatra. Historians say that Queen Cleopatra was part Greek. Now, the reason why she was part Greek was because when Alexander the Great colonized the country of Egypt, he made sure that his Greek blood was mixed with the royal bloodline so he can effectively colonize them and have the access to their wealth. So Queen Cleopatra thought that she can utilize bedroom politics. She can manipulate Mark Antony and Julius Caesar through the bedroom to basically get what she wants out of them. But what happened is she chose Mark Antony. And the reason why I believe the reason why she chose Mark Antony, because the Mark Antony was the most gullible. And the reason why he was the most gullible, because if you look in history, it shows that Mark Antony was married, and while Mark Antony was at war fighting for Rome, his wife was actually cheating on him and spending his money. I bet you word got back to Mark Antony, and he was actually very depressed, and he was very hurt that his wife was cheating on him, so he basically fell for Queen Cleopatra's charms. But Julius Caesar was not having it, because he was upset. Julius Caesar, the great, powerful, proud man that he was not having the fact that, Queen Cleopatra was choosing another man over him. So what Julius Caesar ended up doing is killing Mark Antony and feeding Queen Cleopatra to the dogs. See, we have to be careful with the bedroom politics of interracial relationships, because Queen Cleopatra made that mistake. She was the last line of the royal bloodline of Kemet, and when Queen Cleopatra died, she had no heirs, and that was the end of that. The end of the Egyptian pharaohs. That's very interesting. We're going to come back in a couple of minutes where we're going to go through another examples of interracial relationships and colonization. Thank you. Be back shortly. Thank you. Welcome back to Black Wall Street Chronicles. Welcome back. Yeah, so closing the love triangle between Queen Cleopatra, Mark Antony, and Julius Caesar. You know, when Julius Caesar got back to Rome, he was stabbed up. I wonder if he was stabbed up because he's responsible for killing the royal bloodline of Egypt and the access to the wealth of Egypt. I never understood why he got stabbed up. Maybe that was one of the reasons. Anywho, we can talk about another topic where bedroom politics is utilized, you see. And history of European, when they colonize the area, they have sexual relations with the woman. Sometimes the relationship is forced, where the woman is sexually assaulted, or is consensual. These children are created out of this. Children are born, and the children not only have the blood of the colonizer, they also have the blood of the native. And what the European loves to do is they utilize the blood of, they utilize these mixed children as a buffer class to basically protect them. A great example is what happened in Haiti. Yeah, the Great Haitian Revolution of 1804. Now, not many people know this, but Napoleon Bonaparte was one of the greatest conquerors in human history. And Napoleon Bonaparte, he was married to a black Haitian woman named Josephine Bonaparte. She was a black woman. She was basically she was almost the same complexion of Lauryn Hill. Maybe she was a shade darker. Why would Napoleon Bonaparte be married to a black Haitian woman when at the same time his country is basically half black slaves in Haiti? Because I believe Napoleon Bonaparte wanted to manipulate the black slaves of Haiti to basically accept being slaves, accept the tyranny of France. But the Haitians was not having it, you see. The Haitians was not fooled by the bedroom politics of the French Europeans. So what they did is, when they had the revolt in 1804, they not only killed the white people, they also killed the mixed light-skinned Haitians that was cooperating with the French rule. And we know that to be the French Revolution. We know that to be the Haitian Revolution. And here's the thing. The two reasons why Napoleon Bonaparte wasn't able to conquer all of Europe was A, France went into Russia, and everybody knows once you go into Russia, you're going to have to deal with General Winter. And the Russians know how to survive in a situation like that, and other people don't. And the second reason why France lost, Napoleon Bonaparte basically lost the war, is because the Haitian Revolution. The Haitian Revolution is impressive because you're actually beating the most powerful conqueror and the most powerful force known to man at that day, which is actually interesting. That's cool. You know, during the times of slavery, during the times of triangle trade, you know, there was a lot of men and women being sexually assaulted. See, we know that the women were being sexually assaulted, but nobody really talks about the men. Nobody talks about the concept of buck-breaking. What they used to do is they used to sexually assault the man, sodomize the man with sticks right in front of the woman to basically emasculate them and show that they cannot be protected. This is actually very sad. It forced the woman to be self-dependent on it forced the black woman to be independent and rely on themselves and not rely on their man, because their man is actually not able to protect them. And in certain situations, it actually caused animosity. To this day, there are black women who are mad at black men for not protecting them. And without them realizing that the reason why the black men can't really fully protect them, because they have been manipulated and brainwashed into a system that is set up to subjugate black men. So I basically can give you an example. Beyonce did this article. She did an interview with what magazine was it? I can't think of the magazine. It's some feminist magazine. Let's see. Yeah, she did an interview with, I'm not sure, I believe it's Vanity Fair. I have to look in at information later on. But in this interview, she was talking about how she did a DNA test to basically find out about her ancestor. And she found out that her ancestor stayed on the plantation and actually got married to the slave master. And Beyonce, rightfully so, said that something is psychologically wrong with my ancestor, and that could be passed on for generation to generation. Now, Matthew Knowles was on Vlad TV, and he was actually a very interesting interview. And on Vlad TV, Matthew Knowles was like, when I was in junior high school, I had this fetish for white women. I used to chase white girls. And the reason why I got with Beyonce's mother, because I thought that she wasn't a black woman. Because, back in those days, Matthew Knowles has never seen a Creole woman before. In the old days, people don't know what a Creole woman is. And if you look at the pictures, she looks, Beyonce's mom can actually pass for a Hispanic woman back in the old days. Like, we know that she's black now, but back then, wow, very exotic looking woman, very exotic. And on the interview, he was like, yeah, the reason why I was chasing white women was because, I've been conditioned to think that way. And that's the thing that we need to talk about. We need to talk about black men's obsession with white women and light-skinned women and women who are not of our race. We have to talk about that. And the reason I'm having an issue is because something's personal. My grandmother, Louise Bratcher, used to bleach her skin. And the reason why she used to bleach her skin, because in Durham, North Carolina, she felt if I bleach my skin and I look like a white woman, these white men will basically leave me alone and they will stop harassing me. My grandmother actually was suffering with mental disabilities. She had multiple personality disorders. She was paranoid schizophrenia. I want to know if bleaching her skin has something to do with her mental disabilities that she has. And the reason why my grandmother and many members of my family had these mental disabilities is because of slavery. Is because we are victims of Stockholm Syndrome, and we have been our women in our family and men have been sexually assaulted by white males and white women. During the days of the plantation, sometimes the white woman will go to the slave stables and try to sexually take advantage of one of the men. Now, a lot of you is like, there's no way that a man can be sexually taken advantage of. Well, we have to look at the power structure, right? Sexual assault is all about power. That white woman had more power than that white woman had more power than the black slave. So basically, she could do whatever she wants with the black man. If the black man was to say, no, I don't want to do it, she'll be like, if you don't do it, I'll scream and I'll say you did something to me. And then whenever that white woman bared a child and that child was a mulatto, you know what the white slave master did? They killed that child. The only reason why we have mulatto children is because the white man raped the black woman and popped out babies. So any black man, and we have to think about that dynamic, any black man, slave, that has sex with a white woman, and the white woman was to pop out a black baby, the slave master would kill the baby. The other way around, when the white man have sexual relations with the black woman and the black woman pops out a mulatto baby, the white man can't kill his own child, so they keep the child around. Is keep around the child. They keep the child around the house. And earlier I was talking about a buffer class. You used to manipulate the child and have the child confused about identity and who that kid is, and this is why you have a situation where Beyonce's ancestor would feel that she need to stay on the plantation to be with the slave master, because her great-grandfather because her father or her great-grandfather may be a white person. Interracial relationships is dangerous because interracial relationships can be very toxic. Like, the black man or a black woman could be getting into interracial relation not because they love the person, it's because they're trying to be accepted by that person. They try not as an equal relationship, it's a toxic relationship of acceptance. Well, I'll talk more about that when I'll come back after a few minutes. Thank you. Welcome back. This is Black Wall Street Chronicles. I am your host, Jeffrey Frazier. We're going real deep into the talk of interracial relationships and the history of it. Why there are some members of our community that have a problem with interracial relationships. And basically the history of colonization and why we are conditioned to have a European way of thinking, a European standard of beauty. I remember when Chris Rock did this documentary about hair. Now, I personally did not have a problem with Chris Rock doing the documentary about black women's hair, but that actually made a lot of black women mad because they thought that he was making fun of them, you know. Black women are very self-conscious with the European beauty standards of our country, of Western civilization. Women in our community, sometimes they get perms and they get wash and sets, and they have a European-centric look because they understand if they want to use cornrows and they want to get dreadlocks and they want to get an Afrocentric style, then there's a possibility that they may not be hired for a job. Paul Mooney always have this joke, is like, oh, the reason why it is called relaxer, because you make that hair makes white people relax. You know, white people are more relaxed with European hair, but when they see Afrocentric hair, they see dreadlocks, they see all these things, that actually makes them feel uncomfortable. They think that you are a pro-black and you're angry at white people, and white people get real intimidated about that. It's actually very stupid. Like the time where there was a wrestler, a young man who was wrestling, and he had dreadlocks, and as he was wrestling, the guy chopped the boy's dreadlocks off, had the boy chop his dreadlocks off so he can keep on wrestling. The referee got in trouble, but that's just a concept of, you know, Western civilization. They say that everything white is good and everything black is bad. And it's conditioning our children, and it's conditioning our people. There was an episode where Nick Cannon had his podcast, and he had a member of the Nation of Islam who's actually a millennial. He's not even in his 30s yet. He's 28 years old. This guy talks about anime and comic books and all this other stuff, but he is a Nation of Islam. You already know how they roll. So, Nick Cannon asked the Brother Rizla Islam about interracial relationships. And the black man said the Nation of Islam do not condone interracial relationships between a white man and a black woman, a black person and a white person, because black people and white people are not equal in this country. And you cannot have a sustainable relationship where you are on two when society is not equal. And Nick Cannon, that's actually good. Again, I don't have a problem with interracial relationships, where Rizza Islam has made a good point. But what Nick Cannon said was very problematic. And I'm going to go into, because Rizza Islam only talked about one part of it, I'm going to talk about two more. Now, Nick Cannon said, well, black men use white women as a status symbol. Boy, I don't know where that came from. Maybe because, you know, he was in a relationship with Mariah Carey, and Mariah Carey is a beautiful, talented woman that comes from an interracial relationship, and he sees these children who's actually the same complexion as Mariah Carey, and he loves them. But we need to talk about that. Now, when Rizza Islam said that that was wrong, because you're basically betraying the black woman when you say that. How can you look at the white woman with a status symbol when a black woman who's been holding you down for all this time? Even the black woman has held you down during slavery. So for you to look at a white woman and marry as a status symbol is actually betraying to the black woman. Now I'm going to give you 2 more reasons other than the betrayal of black women. Now the second reason why that black men shouldn't look at white women as a status symbol, because believe it or not, white women are actually very accessible to black men, especially these days. I live in New York City, and it's actually easy to get into interracial relationships in New York. It's so easy to get into interracial relationship in New York. I don't understand why that rapper Murder Mook actually was soft shoeing for that damn Puerto Rican rapper Yes Julisse. It got Karen Silver and Scotty B mad, and a whole bunch of black women mad to see these black women cape, to see these black men defend Yes Julisse. And the problem is that some of these black men, they still are attracted to a woman that has the features of a black woman, but they're not black. That's actually very problematic. Now the third reason why a black man seeing a white woman as a status symbol is a problem is because you're sexually objectifying a white woman. You don't see the white woman as an equal. You don't see the white woman as a human being. You don't see her as someone that's looking for a stable relationship. You're looking at her as a trophy. And guess what? These white women are not stupid. They're going to figure out very quickly when their man is looking at them as a trophy wife. And the reason why the white woman is not stupid, because you have to understand that they're the white man's partner in crime. So you're not going to really do... They all know the bedroom politics and the Machiavellian tricks of their own men. Okay? So that's the 3 reasons why. So the first reason you can't look at a white woman as a status symbol, because you're betraying black women. The second reason interracial relationships is not that serious, is easily accessible. And the third reason is you're sexually objectifying the white woman. And in this hashtag Me Too movement and Time's Up movement, I would suggest to black men that you don't sexually objectify no woman, especially black woman and white woman. No woman. Okay. Yeah, interracial relationships, man, we need to be careful. We need to be careful, you know. You know, if Bill Cosby didn't cheat on his wife, he wouldn't be in trouble. He was messing with all those women. You know, he wanted to go into the Playboy Mansion and fuck around. Now he's in trouble. And, you know, gotta be real careful with these interracial relationships, man. You created this mulatto child. Now the mulatto child is confused. You got Amber Rose and Brittany Renner and these Instagram models who are light-skinned. And then you have the dark-skinned Instagram models. The fact that I can't think of a dark-skinned Instagram model right now is actually problematic too. Who was the one that went out with Rick Ross? The one that's pregnant. Can't think of her name, and I find her to be very sexy and attractive, but I can't think of her name. She got in trouble for flirting with Meek Mills. What was her name? And she's on my Twitter. Can't think of her name, but you know, you have colorism And you have the interesting is like black woman is the most sexually objectified woman on the planet. And you know what? I think next week I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about the sexual objectification. You know what? I got an idea for the real good episode next week. Yes. We're going to talk about the images on how Hollywood looks at us. Right. Because there's two stereotypes of black men. No, there is two stereotypes of black women. And there's 6 stereotypes of black men. Alright, so we're going to take a quick break. When I come back, I'm going to basically close everything off and talk about what I'm going to talk about in the next couple of weeks. I might have a couple of guests next week to join me in the conversation. Alright, be back shortly. Welcome back. This is Black Wall Street Chronicles, and I'm your host, Jeffrey Frazier. Just to the agenda at hand to sign the things off. Again, I said this in the beginning of the show, and I will say it again. I personally do not have a problem with interracial relationships. You cannot help who you in love with, but you also have to understand that MSNBC did a survey about reparations, and they said only 30% of white Americans agree with reparations. So, being that only 30% of white people agree with black people getting reparations, that means 70% of white America doesn't really understand the black struggle. Now, if you are a white person that believes that black people deserve reparations but can't afford it, I understand. You know, we're $7 trillion in debt, man. It's funny. The federal government actually runs his budget the same way that President Trump does his own business. Like, we would file Chapter 11 bankruptcies all the time. But next week, we are going to talk about, I'm the only one here. I am going to talk about the stereotypes that Hollywood has for black men and black women. Thank you very much, and you enjoy your night. Godspeed.